Bobby knows everything. Tad knows everyone. Dingo is here too. They're here to make love to you. Your ears at least. This is the Dingo Weekly. This is the Dingo Weekly. This is the Dingo Weekly. This is the Dingo Weekly.
Not only do we find Dingo, but we actually have our first guest ever on the Dingo Weekly podcast. We have our new good friend, Dr. Guillermo Ruiz, who is endocrinologist. Is that correct? Please tell me everything about yourself.
Well, so it started back in old Mexico, when my mom and my dad met each other, and then it grew from there. I'm a first generation Mexican American. I love this fucking country. From a very young age, I knew somehow I had the clarity that I wanted to be a doctor, which is so weird nowadays. If you ask a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? They usually don't have an answer, and it drives me insane.
I feel like that's a popular answer. Doctor for kids?
Yeah, but it's like ask a kid, and we're going to get into this a little bit later on about, how many kids or how many teens want to start driving. And I'm just going to leave it out there, but I wanted to be a doctor. And through a series of, unfortunate events or whatever, I didn't quite graduate out of university in 4 years. I decided to become an EMT. I ones and zeros kind of guy, very scientifically minded. And while I was in the emergency department, I realized that what we were doing there is like both miracles, but at the same time, it's not answering the question of how do we become healthier. We're not solving any problems. We stabilize a patient, and then we send them to a floor, and we forget about it, and we never learn them. We never know what happened to them. And I wanted to know what is real health. So listening to podcasts like this, I found about, I learned about paleo. Just exactly like this one.
Especially this one.
In fact, I'm visiting from the past, and then I'm gonna send myself this podcast, and this is gonna change my life.
I love that.
And then I discovered the paleo movement, and because of this idea of eating natural or whatever, I started researching and looking at different career paths, and I landed in naturopathic medicine, which is I have the ability to prescribe, I have the ability to diagnose, I have the ability to use supplements or diet or lifestyle pharmaceuticals or whatever in order to make a person healthier. And that's what I'm here to talk about. What's the meaning of health specifically for guys? What does it mean to be healthy, or how can we get to a better health?
I think Dingo stopped listening after you said that you can prescribe.
Hey, sometimes you just got to use that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll reach out after we are done recording. Let's see. I actually did homework. It says you went to the Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine and Health Sciences.
Yes.
How did you feel when they rebranded to Sonoran in September 2022? Are you upset by that?
So I'm such a homer for my school, and I was part of actually the group of people that they were like trying to try other names, and that was not my first choice.
Yeah, it doesn't roll off the tongue like Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine and Health Sciences does.
It's so funny. I kind of wanted to be like the health school of the of America or something like that. Just piss on everyone else and be like, we are it. But unfortunately, the Sonoran Desert is pretty famous, and they decided to go that way. So, but I support them, and it's growing on me, dude.
Yeah, for brevity's sake, it is helpful.
It's very slick and modern.
Yeah.
So can you go into a little bit more about what naturopathy sciences or health.
na-
What is that?
Okay, so naturopathic medicine. Okay,
Naturopathic medicine.
which is an awful name. It's nature. And pathy, which means sickness. So like natural sickness. So don't pay attention to what that name actually translates to in Latin. But um, it's this other way of looking at health. Like for example, we focus more on looking at the root cause of disease. Uh, Let me pose a question. Do you guys know what type 2 diabetes is?
Yeah.
Okay, what is it?
It's when your pancreas is not producing enough insulin and you have low insulin levels that
So,
gives you low blood sugar.
it, it so
Something,
so
something to that effect.
absolutely, it's your pancreas not being able to produce enough insulin. Okay, so you have this person that eats donuts and Twinkies all day long. Okay, and our body can handle around 300 grams of sugar a day, and if you go past that, then your pancreas can't keep up. Okay, so I'm a published researcher. I have my own patent. I've spent a lot of time in the lab. Okay, and when we're trying to make cells insulin resistant, for an experiment or something, we grab ozone and we ozonate them, which creates a lot of oxidative damage on those cells. Okay, and those cells stop accepting sugar. Why? Think of it a cell like a car that is burning energy or gasoline, and if that car is parked inside a garage, the person inside the car is going to die. Same thing with cells. If you continue uh, processing sugar without an endpoint, you're just going to create a lot of reactive oxygen species, and that cell is going to die from oxidative stress. So the body, in all its wisdom, downregulates insulin receptors. Okay, and you stop accepting sugar. So let me paint this picture.
Can I just stop you right there before I forget
Yeah,
my
yeah, go ahead.
question? You
Yeah,
said you were adding ozone.
yeah. We ozonate them. Yeah.
So what would that be equivalent to in terms of what you could do naturally, since we're not ozonating cells in our home? What does that
Okay.
actually
Yeah.
mean? Is that
So
introducing oxygen, or could you just break that down?
yeah, it's introducing reactive oxygen species, ROSs. So basically, it's injecting oxidation, literally oxidation, into the cell. So then the cell thinks, "Oh shit, this is a very oxidative environment. So I have to handle this oxidation that they're spraying on me, but I'm going to suspend my burning of sugar to not create any more added oxidation." Does that make sense?
Yes, I think I'm just wondering what is the body's way of doing that internally?
Oh,
Insulin, right?
so insulin drives sugar from the blood into the cell. Okay, so it's like a key that opens the gate. So then, whenever that little glucose molecule goes into the mitochondria, oxygen starts pulling hydrogen to create ATP, and you burn it into energy. But anytime we burn something, you create reactive oxygen species. Okay,
Got
so
it.
it's just to simulate an oxidative environment. So that's why we become insulin resistant. It's not that in the end, it's because we eat too much sugar, but it's not the sugar that's causing it. It's actually that the body's like, okay, if we continue burning sugar for energy, we're gonna kill ourselves with the reactive oxygen species that we're producing. So it's a defense mechanism to alleviate a little bit of the extra ROSs that we're producing because we eat like idiots.
So too much sugar, and then our cells get
Eh, eh,
overwhelmed and die.
Correct. So too much, we cannot unlimitedly burn sugar because it would create too many reactive oxygen species, and then the cell will die, pretty fast. Okay.
Which cells are
So
dying? Is that like my blood cells, or just like all
any
my
cell
innards?
any cell, every cell has mitochondria, so every
We
cell
don't
is
need
like
all of
saying,
them, right?
I mean, I got so many cells. Like, do I
So
really need
many.
all the cells? I'm sure I can
so
spare a few.
so in the current model of medicine, Okay, we have this idea of, okay, so you're not producing enough insulin, or we are, or we're going to give you something to push that glucose and continue burning the mitochondria. Okay, is that solving the problem? No, because the problem is not that your body's stupid. The problem is that you're feeding it the wrong thing. Okay, so
So
imagine
I'm
the
stupid.
You're not alone. Don't worry.
imagine Rome, and you have these vomitoriums. Okay,
You
have
say,
you
wait,
have you
hold on. You said a vomitorium?
you guys ever heard it, Tad or Dingo? Have you guys ever heard of a vomitorium?
It's like a puke room, or
Can we still have them? I just use the bathroom.
So it was like this idea that you go to this crazy ass parties with hookers and cocaine, and then you eat,
Like I
eat, eat,
said,
eat,
I'm
eat.
sorry I missed the episode last week.
You eat, and then you make yourself throw up so you can continue eating. Okay.
oh, I used to call that pulling the trigger, pull the trigger, puke and rally.
Yeah, puke and rally. Well, now it's signed off by a doctor. We're good.
So imagine in 1,000 years when we have these little aliens, with the alien teacher learning about America, and they're like, yeah,
We haven't, man, we haven't
in
gotten to that episode yet.
in the 2000
It's coming.
in the 2000s, they would eat to the point that their cells wouldn't accept any more sugar, and then they would inject themselves in their bellies with insulin so they could continue eating. Okay, Robbie, can you fact check on the vomitoriums?
Yeah, I need to know about these vomitoriums.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
actually,
this is coming up. This is a real thing.
well, okay,
A
the
passage
vomitoriums.
situated below or behind a tier of seats in an amphitheater or a stadium through which large crowds can exit rapidly at the end of an event.
Yes. So the vomitoriums are a lie. Vomitoriums is what we call the entrance to the Colosseum or churches or whatever. But what we're doing with our bodies with insulin, it's fucking true. So we are more savage than the most savage example that I could come up with.
I don't think churches should have a vomitorium. That's just me. I'm old fashioned.
A commonly held but erroneous notion is that ancient Romans designated spaces called vomitoria for the purpose of literal vomiting as part of a binge and purge cycle.
Yep.
God, they had it down.
So smart. Teach me the ways.
They really did. They really did gluttony really, really well in ancient Rome.
How far we have fallen.
We'll get there.
So basically, it's this idea of actually looking at the underlying cause of disease rather than accepting that our bodies are betraying us and changing the outcome. And that's where I geek out. That's where that's where I like to help people with.
I mean, it sounds like we're betraying our bodies more than our bodies are betraying us.
Absolutely.
I have to clarify that this was erroneous. This wasn't real. The vomitoriums.
But injecting insulin into our bellies so we can continue eating, Twinkies and donuts is completely real.
Yes. Oh, that's
So that's fucking crazy.
So what you're saying is we need vomitoriums.
vomitoriums
maybe-
haven't existed in reality. We can make it a reality.
Yeah.
We can get there.
And maybe that's how we solve this whole this whole issue. That this is how we do it. Instead of not eating unhealthy food, we just eat it, but we never process it.
So
Or just-
bulimia is a cure for diabetes then.
We can eat whatever we want. We just have to throw it up afterwards.
And anorexia would work a little bit better, but we should
Well,
market
the
it in-
official Dingo Weekly stance is bulimia. So
Yeah, this is really conflicting with our stance. We're pro bulimia, not pro anorexia. Are we going to have to change our stance due to science? I guess.
No.
we're almost got that bulimia sponsorship. So bulimia, cure your diabetes.
anorexia just has a bad
rap, I agree.
It needs better marketing.
We can do that.
yeah. So let's just call it fasting.
There you go. Fasting. It's just like Yom Kippur.
Yeah, we're just fasting, guys. We don't have an eating disorder.
Intermittent fasting is so hot right now. I think we could really jump on board and get anorexia going.
I'm just going to atone for the sins of the past food I've eaten.
Be more like an exorcism for me.
So my question for you guys is, and like I said, when we were talking amongst ourselves, we have no answers. This is just to raise a couple of questions and maybe come back later and discuss what we simmered on or what we thought about. But
Agreed.
how come women have higher indices of morbidity? They're sicker, yet guys, which have lower indices of morbidity, have higher indices of mortality. We die younger.
What kind of sicknesses are women getting that we aren't?
Oh, it's.
I have a guess.
Go ahead.
I think they're stressed out from having to deal with us all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's just high cortisol 24/7.
So the reality is that the reason women have higher morbidity rates is because women actually go to the doctor, so they get diagnosed and treated.
Yeah,
Great.
that makes sense.
Don't go to the doctor. Got it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we don't go to the doctor as guys,
And we die sooner.
and we die.
I'd
sooner.
rather be surprised by it.
How often should I be going to the doctor?
That's
Every decade, at least.
I was going to say about once every 10 years, right? That
It,
sounds right.
it really depends on what your goals are. But most importantly, I'm here to make the case that one of the most masculine things that we can do is actually take care of our health in order for us to be able to take care of each other, of our community, or of our family, of our loved ones.
All right, I have
Yeah.
a question then.
Shoot.
So when I was, well, I won't tell you how old I was, but I had to go to a cardiologist because I was having heart issues. I was young, and I had to wear a Holter monitor, and then they told me to come in. My heart was stopping, so I had to go and get checked out, and they said it's just a benign arrhythmia, but we want you to come in annually to get it checked out. And I said, okay. And that was 19 years ago, and I haven't been back. Is that fine? Because I didn't die.
Did you get like an Apple Watch
Possibly.
or something though?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Samsung guy, so I have the Galaxy 6.
Yeah. So I would have.
It's fine, Rod.
Gone.
It does everything your stupid Apple Watch does.
Does it?
Yes, and more probably.
So yeah, what I tell people is, like, people freak out when they have like really low blood pressures or really low heartbeats. And what I tell them is that as long as you're not symptomatic, it's not a big deal. So basically, if you're an athlete, and if you have, if you're very active and your blood pressure is like 118/72. But you're not getting dizzy, you're not getting nauseous, you're not, it's fine. The problem is if you have low blood pressure and you have symptoms, that's when it can become an issue. So, what symptoms were you having that you ended up going to the doctor?
Mental problems, probably.
No, that wasn't then. What was it? It was chest pain.
Yeah. So as long as you're not symptomatic, it's not a big deal. But
Well, pain
that's
was a symptom.
well, but you
Hurt like a
never went
bitch.
back. Yeah, you never went back, so you were not symptomatic anymore. But it goes back
No,
to
I just
what if.
ignored it like a real man.
Yeah,
Does
exactly.
it still hurt, or is that just like your new normal?
I don't know. Who
What
fucking
is
cares?
pain?
At this point, it's hard to tell.
I don't know if it's been so long that I've just grown accustomed to it, but I think it stopped eventually.
So, and that's the thing.
Listen, I know I'm wrong. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Before, I know that. So I'm not saying people shouldn't go to the doctor. Absolutely. I apologize to my gender for being a bad example.
No, we're educating here. This is for education purposes. So,
Oh, well then you're welcome.
yeah. Be better than Dingo.
And how do we convince, how do we convince all the dingoes out there in the world that maybe we should be paying a little bit more attention to our health?
One of a kind, baby.
That's a
Truly.
great question. How can we convince us? Because listen, I'm just like Dingo. I won't go to the doctor. Not for any reason. I just don't. I won't. I can't be compelled to unless there's like a compelling reason. I don't know why. I'm not anti-doctor either. I'm just lazy, I guess. I don't know. How are you going to get me there?
Well, and that this is where this whole idea of like a paleo concept, where and I'm not talking about this idea that we should eat like cavemen. It's more like looking at everything from an evolutionary perspective. Your body's not stupid, and it's not becoming type 2 diabetic because it's dumb. Your body is not stupid, and it's uh, it's going to make your appendix inflamed because it's stupid, or your gallbladder, or all of these things that we hear all the time, that it's just a vestigial organ. No, it's not. It's there for a fucking reason. um, so when you start looking at things in this evolutionary perspective, is like, what's the reason, what's the cause? um, it allowed me to look at my life in that kind of same perspective from finances. Like, why the fuck am I poor? What do I need to change in order? What's the underlying cause for my inability to have savings? What's the underlying cause for me gaining weight? What's the underlying cause? And it allowed me to kind of have like structural plans in order to get me there. And one big reason that us as a country, not just as a gender, that we're sick, is because of allowing a third party company into our health, with insurance. So
Oh yeah.
maybe the answer is taking, you know our health into our own hands, not by some actuary in an ivory tower telling us what's healthy and what's not.
But then how would the insurance companies profit?
Would you please, someone think of the insurance companies?
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's also be realistic here. I got a family.
Yeah.
I need to cover the health costs of all of them. I mean, I got young kids that
Yeah.
are still getting their annuals or multi biannual, I don't know, whatever checkups, and it adds up. I need insurance. I can't just tell them to eat fruit. Like
Absolutely.
because what?
And that's I carry insurance, by the way. And it's like, it pains me that I pay for it every month or whatever, but I carry it because, like, if I get into a fucking car accident, don't tell me, oh, you should stop eating gluten. No, you just take me to the fucking emergency department and and
Mhm.
and give me a CT scan. Um, but it is very frustrating. I'll give you guys an example. Okay, so I have a patient who the type 2 diabetic, overweight, and we decided to start her on GLP-1s, so Ozempic or semaglutide or whatever. This about a year ago. This year, January is when the insurance reset their limits or whatever, and I get a fax from the insurance company, and she's no longer covered for this medication. She
Mm.
was type 2 diabetic. She was very, very overweight. She has lost about 80 pounds. She's no longer type 2 diabetic. And because she's no longer type 2 diabetic, they won't cover this medication anymore.
Is the medication only for type 2 diabetes, or why would she still need it if she wasn't?
Okay, so semaglutide or GLP-1s are such fantastic drugs. They are so interesting. I was very reluctant to give it to people,
Well, we
but
don't know the long-term effects of these yet.
absolutely not. But we know the short-term effects of obesity, and
Sure.
Mm,
it
good
in it
counterpoint.
so
Very
in
good.
in this person, was so she was on the way to stroke. She was on the way to losing toes or whatever.
Toe amputation?
Can you just tell me why we have to lose toes with that?
Oh, okay.
I never
So
understood
because of
that.
I'm guessing gardening shears. I don't know how it works.
Not actually how they take them, like why they take them. Come on, Robbie.
Well, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
You could probably sand them down, really, if you had to.
So reactive oxygen species, okay, and then you bypass the protective mechanism evolutionarily created to prevent you from utilizing too much sugar. So then you start injecting insulin. So then the sugar continues to be processed. So you continue creating reactive oxygen species, which damage nerves and capillaries, and then
Mm.
your tissue becomes necrotic, and then you have to cut it. That's
Got it.
why a lot of
So all
that
those
that
cells that die that you were saying, they get too overwhelmed from all the sugar, they die. Those are those cells.
correct. In
Mm.
so you can
Then you
be
lose your toes.
Oh, we're learning.
I learned
This
something.
is so exciting.
so basically you can be your diabetes can be under control. Okay, the problem is that means that the blood glucose in your bloodstream is under control, but not the damage that your super smart, I don't know if you guys believe in a creator or evolution, but like this process of, self protection is being bypassed and it's creating all those problems.
We haven't gotten to that episode yet. Well,
Yeah.
we're
I
we're
mean-
open to it. We have to hear all the sides.
Evolution is obviously smart. However it happened, it figured things out along the way. And
I'm an evolutionary scientist, so I'm in the evolution side of things. But this is what happens with semaglutide and all these drugs. Okay, whenever you eat, let's in just to simplify things, carbohydrates. You eat a carbohydrate, your insulin goes up, and your glucagon goes down. Glucagon is kind of like the opposite of insulin. Insulin takes sugar from the bloodstream into the cell. What glucagon does is it releases, glycogen and fatty acids from the muscle into the bloodstream.
Mm.
Okay. Why? So when we're fasting or when we go overnight without eating, it's not like we're eating all night long. It's to keep your brain functioning. Okay, so releasing glucagon also, increases your cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone, which is good, because you go to bed, your cortisol is low, you go to sleep, you start releasing glucagon, your cortisol starts going up, cortisol peaks in the morning, you wake up a little bit jittery, the stress, ready to go, and then as the day continues, your cortisol goes down. Okay,
So
so
this just I'm trying to clarify in my head and help me out here.
yeah,
So glucagol helps say if you are fat.
no, glucagon,
No, well, I'm saying if you're fasting because you're
yes.
trying to lose the weight because you are fat, that's taking kind of the excess of what you already have in your body and letting you live off of that kind of
With one caveat,
without
when you
eating.
when you release glucagon, insulin goes down because it's trying to preserve that energy for your brain. It's just preservation.
Okay.
It's using
So
the
so insulin,
glucose from the cells.
yeah, from your muscles, from your body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
like what you
So
do when you are exercise, any anaerobic exercise.
absolutely.
So
But
instead of
it
taking from the food, it's taking from what you have already.
but it doesn't go into the cell because there's no insulin. You remember, glucagon goes up, insulin goes down, insulin
Mhm.
goes up, glucagon goes down. Okay, what this little fucking injection does is that it releases glucagon like peptide, and it also increases insulin. So both of them are working at the same time.
Mm.
Okay, so it's so interesting because, like, I have a Muslim patient that had to ask permission to his imam during Ramadan because technically, because you're releasing all this energy and you're releasing insulin, you're actually eating.
Yeah.
So you had to ask for permission, and a really cool guy. He was like, "Yeah, well, if God put you in this path, this must be your path." And he was allowed to use it during Ramadan. And he comes back later and he says, "Bro, that was the easiest fucking Ramadan I've ever done in my life." But by increasing both glucagon and insulin at the same time, and you're eating the calories that you're wearing, not the calories that you're consuming.
And you would be rapidly losing weight, I presume, because you're not eating and you're
The
utilizing what you're wearing.
Robbie, the most interesting thing is this: because you're constantly technically eating, mental health problems go away, binging, ideations, what we call food noise goes away. And these people that had depression, these people that had so much fucking anxiety, I in my heart, I don't think that people want to be unhealthy. I think people want to eat better. I think people want to, but specifically with women, living in a society where we are constantly judging their appearance. We're constantly, wanting,
Yeah, Dingo.
the
I
pressure,
apologized already.
the societal pressures that we have put. How many women do you know in your life, and how long have they been on a diet?
Hmm.
And the
All of them
it's
and forever.
and
Yes.
forever. And listen, and me in being in this business or whatever, I do have a little bit of disorder eating, and Tad can attest to this. I'm very crazy when it comes to my diet.
This guy, every meal, he's got a side sausage.
Yeah, lots of meat.
Like a breakfast sausage or like
No, no, no.
Italian sausage?
Like a kielbasa.
Oh, I thought it was like a euphemism.
It's just every meal, it's got a kielbasa on the side.
The kielbasa is a good sausage.
It's a great sausage, man. It's the best sausage to grill.
Love
But
it.
so basically, I don't believe that women, or especially this patient, I don't think she was type 2 diabetic just because, obviously the reason is because she wasn't eating the right way. Okay. But I don't believe that she's lazy and she wants to be sick or whatever. I think that there is this idea of like, oh, you want to be healthy, just eat better and exercise. But who is telling us what eating healthy is?
Well, it's
Is
also
it
not as accessible, or is it? Because is that a myth? Like, I feel like fast food is almost is the same price as groceries these days. So the convenience, I'm paying the same price.
It's more expensive. It's
Is
more
it?
expensive now. Yeah. I really honestly I feel like I'll take my kids to Culver's or Wendy's or wherever, and it's like 40-50 bucks for like the three of us, four of us if my wife comes. Like, come on. That's like a restaurant meal.
Oh, you're saying fast food's more expensive than the grocery
Yeah.
store?
Yeah. I could go to the grocery store and buy everything to make that for like 25 bucks.
and listen, you can get a rotisserie chicken from Costco for $5.
True.
Yep. And eat it over your sink in one sitting like an animal. I love it.
Yep. And then you could take a carcass and make a nice chicken stock.
Yes, thank
Mm.
you.
That means that you have to have a car. That means you have to have the available credit or cash.
Gotta have a car to go to the drive-through.
You gotta have the ability to pay the monthly membership. You have to have the ability to buy in bulk. You have to have the space. So we're like, yeah, you can buy a chicken for $5 if you already have the infrastructure to be able to have the money to pay for the membership, have the money to buy in bulk, have the money. And once you spend the money, yeah, it becomes cheaper. So yeah, dude, we're gatekeeping, and we are very lucky to be able to do these things. So how do we get people to create those infrastructures in order for them to make that switch to where it actually becomes cheaper to eat at home, because it's very easy to open an app and order fast food.
Move to Europe.
But I love the United States. I don't want to move to
Why?
Europe.
I'm not gonna get into
Yeah.
it. Um,
Yeah, no, let's not go down that road.
Yeah.
no, I'm Instacart and DoorDash and all these programs that they have now, apps, like they're out of control, expensive. They add fees and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I think it'd just be better if everyone just took a minute out of their day each day and try and learn how to cook something.
And then let me ask you, then go, what's a healthy meal? Who's telling you what a healthy meal is? It Walmart? Is it Kraft? Is it
It's
Whole
my
Foods?
wife.
Is it some dude?
Whatever my wife tells me.
And where is she getting that information?
I mean, I'm
Because
cheating. She's paleo. She knows all this stuff too, so I know who to listen to.
so you're lucky,
Yeah,
but how do
she's
we change? How do we change, or how do we disseminate the right information? How do we reach kids that have people like Jake Paul pushing sugar beverages,
Mm-hmm.
or you have people like Jeff Bezos, completely manipulating the news, that we're listening to, and how do we go back to what is healthy?
I mean, you're asking, but I hope you have. I hope you
No,
have
I
an
don't.
answer because I don't know if anyone here does.
I don't. So I was really hoping you had one.
I can tell you this. Okay, so if I can give you something actionable, is eat real food. Just eat real food, meaning whatever you call it, whether it's vegan, keto, paleo, whatever you want to call it. If you eat real food, you're going to be okay. And then paleofying or veganizing or, a meal, it's like having sex with your pants on. No one is satisfied and you're making a fucking mess. So you just, there's nothing healthy about paleo cookies. There's nothing healthy about paleo pizza. There's nothing healthy about keto brownies.
Can I just argue that I think you're making less of a mess if you're banging with pants on. It's gonna catch it all.
It's a controlled mess.
Yeah,
Only one person has to deal with
you
it.
just toss it.
But no
right
one is
into
satisfied.
No one's satisfied, but I will say it's probably easier cleanup.
I'd argue that maybe one person is satisfied. At least
And
someone's
it's,
satisfied.
and it's usually the guys. Yeah, it's usually the guys that will end up being satisfied. Yeah. But it just, eating a piece of meat over a fucking fire and some vegetables that you either, grew yourself or where they're coming from, and doing that more times than not is going to be better for you in the long run than eating, fast food every other day.
What are some good food options? And what's not just
He just told you meat over a fire.
yeah, but
Yeah.
like
Meat and veggies.
meat over fire and veggies. Okay,
Yeah.
I gotta figure this out. I got it because also I got two young kids and a pregnant wife, and I'm working all day. I would have to cook, and I'm tired already. At the end of the day, this the convenience is the thing that
Yeah.
gets me of not having to cook. So
And
what's fast? What's easy? How can I do this? Like,
Cooking is easy, Robbie.
It's a good question. I stand with Robbie on this one.
from personal
don't.
experience and looking at my life, okay, and when I was trying to figure out what the fuck is wrong with me, I figure out my health and blah blah blah, and then I was like, okay, how can I figure out my finances? How Okay, it's creating structure in your life and then having those meals that are like, oh shit. Okay, a very classic meal at my house is 2 pounds of ground beef in a jar of Rayo's tomato sauce, and it's called Rayo's. I always used to call it
I
Rao's.
love Rayo's.
Yeah,
It's the
The
best. It's the best jarred sauce.
And let me just shout out, you can get it at Costco. It's a 2-pack.
absolutely. 11
Yeah,
bucks for two.
Costco, hook us up,
the Dingo Weekly brought to you by Costco.
please.
So I get the Costco size ground beef, and I have Ziploc bags that I make into 1 pound bags. I make them into a square flat, put them in the freezer. And if I'm fucking dead tired, Robbie, if it's 7 o'clock and I just finished watching, seeing my patients, and I'm like, what am I gonna eat today? I know that I can thaw that meat in 20 minutes, and then you just put a jar of Rayo's and do maybe some rice, or you can do with mashed potatoes, or and that's a whole fucking meal.
Now you said you
Very
can
tasty.
thaw in 20 minutes. Is that in a
how.
microwave? Because when I was a child, my parents always thawed meat in a microwave, and then I got older and I was like,
Oh.
that seems really terrible. I know it has a defrost setting, but I'm not going to do that. And then recently
do
I
that.
tried it, and it thawed my meat in probably 20 minutes, and I was like, I don't know.
No, I just leave it on
This
the
is really
counter, dude.
convenient.
I don't have a lot of
Yeah, but
like,
your counter is in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yeah.
So creating little meals like that, then that can be like your oh shit, meals, and they're gonna be very different. Lately what I've been doing a lot of is I buy like 4 or 5 different those salad kits. You've seen them at the
Yeah, I like
store.
those.
Yeah, and it's a way of having a different salad. You're like, oh shit, today is the Mexican one. What am I gonna do? Maybe I'll make some.
Why did you say it like that? Oh shit! Today's the Mexican one.
Because I'm
Look out,
excited when it's
everyone.
Mexican salad. Dude, Mexican salad is the best, man.
No,
Uh,
I mean, I'm not going to argue with that. You just sounded so concerned when you yelled that.
and then or the Italian one, you can do a little bit of whatever. Okay, Tad, what's your favorite restaurant?
My favorite restaurant.
He said
Yeah.
it before, Culver's.
Did I say it?
Culver's.
Culver's has walleye right now. It's really good.
Really, I like Culver's.
What do you get at Culver's?
Well, right now I'm getting the walleye because it's really good.
Yeah, and as long as they have it, every time you go to the Culver's, you're gonna get the walleye.
When they don't have walleye, I get the deluxe with bacon.
Butterburger.
Yeah.
Hold on. How fat American is that sound? It's called a fucking Butterburger.
Butterburger deluxe with bacon,
Yeah,
side of cheese curds.
we just shoved a bunch of butter in there. You fat fatty.
Culver's does have a gluten-free bun, so it's one of the places that I can.
Is that good
actually like
enough?
burger.
You can just throw it on a gluten-free bun and you're fine.
That's having sex with your pants on. It's a once in a while kind of a thing.
You put pickles on it and you're good. That's like vegetables. You're fine.
There's lettuce too, and a tomato and onions. They got all
Potatoes
kinds of
and ketchup.
vegetables on there.
Yeah, potatoes and ketchup.
It's a salad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're eating a salad, dude. But
4-course meal.
so people complain or they're like, oh shit, I just don't like eating the same thing over and over. But when you go to your fucking favorite restaurant, 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna try something new on the menu. So trying to do that in your house and trying to create like this menu of things that are easy to access, fast to make. I really discourage people from like whenever they're like, okay, I'm gonna do paleo, and then they go buy a paleo recipe book or they go online and they start researching paleo recipes. I really discourage that because you end up spending $40 for a meal. And it's not going to be that good. It's going to be more expensive, and you're going to get discouraged because oh shit, this is so expensive. It's like with keto. Going on a keto diet is not about adding fat to your diet. It's not, oh, I'm gonna put butter on my coffee. It's not, I'm gonna have bacon covered in lard. No, a ketogenic diet is about removing carbohydrates, not adding fat. So if you have ever had, some eggs and bacon for breakfast, and then for lunch you had a salad, and then for dinner, you have, a piece of salmon and some broccoli, you're eating keto. We overcomplicate things because that's who we are, and we want that newness, and we want to make things a little bit more exciting. And in reality, if we simplify things, we end up eating better.
So just keep it to meat, veggies, essentially, and then a fat to you need to cook in.
It's so easy
dress,
to
whatever.
say, dude. That's that. If you have to distill it down to anything, it's like, yeah, you just eat meat and veggies.
Meat and veggies.
Is
I
there a
could
place for
probably do that.
carbohydrates in this
Sure.
equation?
Absolutely. So I told you that that I have disorder eating, and I was very successful on a ketogenic diet, and then it basically turned this switch in my head that, oh, if I want to lose weight, I have to not do any carbohydrates. And then I would go like 8 weeks doing pretty strict keto, and then get to my weight, and then fuck it, I'm just gonna eat whatever the fuck I want, and then I will go crazy, and then I start gaining weight, and then you're like, okay, I gotta do it again. And I was putting myself through this waves of binging and binge eating that are not good for you. And I start thinking, how come I'm not able to just maintain a certain weight? And that's when I realized that, yeah, dude, it's not the carbohydrates that are making you fat. is that you eat too fucking much, and starting to kind of like include a little bit of carbohydrates in my meals, which I still prefer to eat a little bit keto. I still prefer to avoid carbohydrates,
Mhm.
uh, but I try to include some carbohydrates every night. Tonight, I didn't have any carbohydrates with my dinner. I made this. It was kielbasa sausage. Uh,
Kielbasa, baby.
yeah, with
Tenacious D.
spiralized zucchini, onions, and peas, and then Italian dressing, and then you put it in a pot in a pan, and it's a one pan meal, and it's pretty damn tasty. But yeah, like very very little carbohydrates. Tomorrow, I'm planning to do egg roll in a bowl
Mm.
with a cup.
Oh, the cabbage and stuff.
Yep, with some
So no
rice.
roll.
No roll.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Egg,
so
no
good
roll.
too.
It's so fucking good, dude. It's
It's
crack.
so good.
It really is.
I
I'll vouch
love
for
an
that.
egg roll,
Egg
but
roll in a bowl is almost better than an
Anyone
egg roll.
out there who hasn't heard of egg roll in a bowl, look it up and try a recipe.
I'm looking
Yeah,
it up
hey,
right now. I love
pro
egg
tip.
rolls, but that doesn't sound good to me.
Yeah, it is. It's surprising.
It's like a big plate of cabbage and ground beef with soy,
But it
with
tastes
soy
like you're
sauce
eating
and
an egg roll.
All right, I
yeah,
mean that looks pretty good. It's kind of like like the chicken lettuce wraps, but without the lettuce wrap.
Yeah.
yeah. You just eat it with a spoon. It's so
Yeah.
much fun.
Now you spoke on cortisol for a bit there. How do you actually release cortisol from your body besides
Okay,
the obvious answers of like exercising and actually burning it off? I don't know if that's actually scientific at all. Can you
no,
actually
it
burn
is.
cortisol off, or is it a
So
release that I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass.
so just like insulin, okay, ask any type 1 diabetic, okay, and ask them if they think insulin is bad. Insulin is necessary for life. Ask any person with Addison's disease. Addison's disease is a problem with your adrenal glands where you don't produce cortisol. Ask any person with Addison disease if cortisol is bad, and they're going to be like, "Are you an idiot? Of course it's not bad. It's necessary for life." So having good cortisol circadian rhythm is very important. Having a fucked up circadian rhythm causes all sorts of problems. Okay, so cortisol is a stress hormone, and like I touched on, like at the beginning of the show, how you want to have low cortisol at night and you want to have high cortisol in the morning. Why? So you wake up and you have high cortisol. You've been
It gets you going.
it gets you going. You're horizontal. It raises your blood pressure so you don't fall over when you wake up from the bed. And then as the day continues, you want it to drop, 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 drop. I don't know if you guys ever seen people wearing blue blockers. So the blue blockers,
Like
At nighttime
sunglasses?
for like the orange light and stuff
correct. So
to get your
Okay, sure.
I can't think of
okay,
serotonin. Is it?
So not like the old like blue blocker sunglasses.
okay, yeah. So what white light, fluorescent light does to you is it suppresses melatonin. Okay, if you suppress melatonin, you allow cortisol to run rampant. So now your cortisol is going to be high at the wrong time of the day. So basically, if you ever see someone wearing yellow glasses in the morning, you're just encouraging melatonin to go up and you're going to be sleepy in the morning, which is completely contrarian or against nature. So in the morning, you should let the sun hit your eyes to suppress melatonin and feel awake. And at night, you should change your lighting. I have two different lighting schemes in my house. I have a daylight and in an evening time. In the evening time, I have yellow lights all over my house, and I basically tell Siri, to switch the scene, and everything is yellow, so to allow the rays of melatonin and suppression of cortisol, so I can sleep better. And
Yeah,
then in
dude,
the
what's up
morning,
with you and my wife? Like, she turns off all the overhead lights. She's like, no overhead lights, only
yeah,
soft white. And I'm like, what the?
yes.
I can't fucking see. Like, just
So
So
so you so you can, so you're
Probably
able to
why you go to
sleep.
sleep at like 9 o'clock at night.
Okay, yeah. You know what? The doctor's on my side for this, so fuck
I'm
off.
supposed to wake up in the morning first thing and just stare into the sun.
No, go on your phone. Blue light.
Absolutely, you can go on your phone and
Yes. I'm gonna tell my wife, leave me alone. I'm scrolling. I'm doom scrolling first thing.
It's for my health.
Yeah.
So I
No,
shouldn't sleep with the TV on.
no, you should not sleep with the TV on. That's the
What the
worst thing you can do,
fuck,
man.
Tad?
That's the worst thing you can do.
I
man.
don't like the TV on. My wife used to do that.
It's the worst thing you ever said.
I can't fall asleep without it on.
I need Seinfeld reruns or I can't sleep.
Let's go back to
No,
cortisol.
the Science Channel.
So then, so then when your cortisol is out of whack, specifically, have you guys ever met anyone that said, if I don't exercise, I don't feel alive?
Me.
Okay, so
Dingo.
whenever you exercise, you release cortisol. So
Yeah.
you basically are stressing your body to a point where the only way you feel alive is by squeezing those adrenals, putting you even deeper into the hole.
Oh, the only reason I feel anything is because I beat the shit out of myself.
Yeah.
I go to the
So-
gym and I make myself feel so bad that I'm like, thank you.
so basically, and we do that, like if you ever meet someone that says, oh, I can drink caffeine at 10 o'clock and I still can go to bed, there's something fucking wrong with you. Because if you met someone that said, oh, I can do a line of coke and I don't feel anything, you'll be like, dude, you have a problem. Caffeine, nicotine,
Is that not okay?
that's not okay. Caffeine, nicotine,
Okay. I just asking questions. That's all.
cocaine, all those enes, they act specifically in your in your nervous system, and they gave us this ability. So side note, nicotine is actually puts you in the opposite of cortisol. So caffeine increases your cortisol. Nicotine actually is a parasympathomimic, so it kind of mimics the parasympathetic nervous system. So instead of putting you on fight or flight, it actually puts you on rest and digest. So that's why we kind of like want that nicotine hit after eating, or that nicotine hit after waking up, or that nicotine hit after sex. Because it helps you kind of like relax and get you down from that high of having that cortisol release.
Sounds awesome. Should I start smoking cigarettes?
Yeah, it sounds like smoking could be helpful.
So you should start doing, parenteral forms of nicotine, so not smoking, but maybe like a nicotine, I carry habitual nicotine gum. I do nicotine lozenges.
So
But
you
yeah,
are
no.
actually recommending nicotine.
This is not financial advice or health advice, but I do carry nicotine gum on my bag. Yeah.
What the fuck do you mean it's not health advice? It's the whole reason we have you here.
Why are we doing this? If this is not health advice.
I'll get nicotine
So-
gum. Just fucking tell me to.
So
Dr.
especially-
Ruiz said to start smoking cigarettes, so I'm
God
gonna
damn it.
start doing.
Don't say how helpful
Like-
it is and then tell me I'm not giving you advice.
like the fucking Flintstones with the Winston cigarettes. It's like no.
Yeah, and then they
but
had
like,
Flintstones vitamins. So, cut
Yeah.
them a break.
I still have those for my kid.
They're trying to
you
help.
you should read the research on fine motor skills and or concentration recall with nicotine.
Okay,
It's so
nobody
fucking
here is
amazing.
gonna read that. I just want to let you know.
I might.
Basically,
He's not going to.
Yeah.
On the topic of vitamins, I wanted to ask about vitamins. Flintstones vitamins, is that still okay for me as an adult?
so
Chewable
I just
candies.
I
don't think
just
anything's gonna happen, right? It's gonna be
I-
nothing.
But what type of vitamins? Like supplements, vitamins. What
okay.
What's-
So
what
Just
should I
Tad,
do?
let him answer the question, Tad.
I don't
what
want-
I
Tad, come on, let him answer. I'm sorry.
what I tell my patients is that supplements supplement. When someone eats a shitty diet, no amount of supplementation is going to be useful.
Mhm.
Actually, there is a vitamin that I really like. It's by Vital Nutrients. It has no iron. It has no iodine. and I recommend, the serving size is 6, and I recommend 2 to 3 depending on your size. Like Dingo would need like 8.
What's the brand?
I Vital Nutrients.
Okay, Vital Nutrients. If you're listening, sponsor. Thank you.
The Dingo Weekly, brought to you by Vital Nutrients. Vital
Oh wait,
Nutrients.
I think I used their collagen. Do they have collagen?
Yeah, they do
Yeah.
have collagen.
Oh, I think that my wife uses their collagen too. Yeah, it's a
From
white.
Costco. You can get it.
From Costco.
Ah,
Yep.
full circle.
So-
It's so nice.
Full circle.
So in I tell them to just have like 2 to 3, the serving size 6, because it's just like insurance. Even organic grown vegetables, we've destroyed and raped Mother Nature so much that I'm not confident that we're getting the actual nutrients that should be in produce.
Oh yeah, our soil is garbage.
Yeah, so basically it's just insurance,
I think
but
that's the whole
but
reason
not.
we need to supplement with magnesium. Is because our soil is
Ah,
such shit.
That's a whole fucking podcast, dude. Because like
Okay,
one of the
well,
things about
we'll put that on the back burner then.
one of the things about magnesium, and I'm gonna do a little preview, is that we are so enamored with calcium because it's good for your bones, that we supplement calcium on everything, and calcium and magnesium kind of like oppose each other. Calcium helps with the tension of the muscle, and then
Mhm.
magnesium helps relax it, and that's why magnesium, Epsom salts, and help with magnesium, with relaxation. Fun story: in the emergency department, if you come in as status asthmaticus, that's someone that is on a persistent asthma attack. The first thing they do albuterol. If that doesn't work, they do continuous albuterol. If that doesn't work, they do albuterol plus epinephrine. And if that doesn't work, they inject you with magnesium. And
And that
I was
always works. Probably they should probably start there.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Dude, I asked one of the fucking attendings. This was back when I was an EMT, and I was like, dude, albuterol makes you hyper. Albuterol plus epinephrine, you feel like you're dying. Okay, I was like, why don't we just start with magnesium? You know what the answer was?
Big pharma.
Profits.
Well,
Profit margins.
It makes your stools loose.
Oh my
So?
god, who cares? My stools are loose
So
anyway. Save my life, asshole.
Which is really
I'll
funny,
shit myself.
because
I don't care.
it gives you it's like it puts you in this paradigm of do we have an albuterol deficiency? Do we have no, you don't have an albuterol deficiency, but you might have a magnesium deficiency. And if you have someone that has problems with asthma, what if it was as simple as, fuck, dude, just take some natural calm at night, and now you're actually getting to the root cause of the disease rather than just medication after medication obfuscating the underlying cause. Because if you have a magnesium deficiency, you're going to have cramps, you might have constipation, you might have asthma, and what if it's coming from all of this processed shit that is supplemented with calcium, where in reality, yeah, we used to have a calcium deficiency, but we overcorrected so much that now we see a more consistent magnesium deficiency, and a lot of people benefit from taking a little bit of fucking magnesium every night.
So should I not be supplementing my calcium? Like if I buy that orange juice plus calcium, should I not be doing that because I'm getting too much of it elsewhere?
So
Just mix it with magnesium. Keep up.
I think
Is that what I need to be doing?
I think that calcium supplementation has gone out of control, and I try to, there's a reason this Vital Nutrients that I use is without iron and without iodine.
What's your flavor of natural calm?
Oh shit, that dude.
I
My
like
wife
a
is gonna kill
raspberry
me.
lemon.
So
That's
I
mine.
like the plain one, dude. I want I like
You
the
like
zero
the
flavor
plain
one.
and you just mix it into some shit you have in your fridge?
Nope, just hot water. And did you know that you have to put it in hot water?
Hot. Oh. I think
Okay.
I've been fucking up.
Dude, it's magnesium carbonate. And when you
Mhm.
mix it with the hot water, it turns that carbonate into citrate.
How hot are we talking? Like boiling? Like a
Just
tea?
no, So I make a tea out of it, so you make the reaction, that fizzy reaction, and then I just let it cool down. Sometimes I put a little bit extra water and just shoot it like a shot.
I've been putting into it right out of the fridge, the filtered
No,
water.
you're just doing a laxative. You're not converting
Well,
it
yeah,
into
I
the,
mean,
into the
I'm definitely
citrate.
doing
Now,
that.
Dingo. Now, this is the thing. This is really cool. Have you ever done a magnesium challenge?
Let's pretend I haven't.
A challenge? No, but I want to. What is it? Oh, I love a challenge.
Okay, so you grab your scale. Yeah, you grab your scale. Okay.
Food scale or me scale?
No, food scale.
Okay.
And if you
And
notice,
stand on the food scale.
Oh no, that's a done food scale.
so the serving size for the natural calm is 4.5 grams. Okay.
Are you
So
saying
you-
natural cum?
Yeah.
Calm.
Natural
calm.
calm.
Like your
CALM.
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 Oh, that's where
Like
the
calm down,
disconnect is.
Yeah,
Not
It's
natural-
you
yeah,
gave me
no.
a chuckle about
Calm down,
raspberry
Robbie.
cum you're gargling or whatever. I don't know.
I'm excited about the cum. Man.
I see the
So you do
disconnect here.
4.5 grams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
you
what
do
I've been hearing the entire time. I
4.5
just want
grams.
you guys to know that.
Of natural calm. Okay. And then
4.5. Got it.
you put the water, you mix it. Okay. And then the next day
What are you putting it in? Just your mug?
5.5. Just hot water. Hot water. Yeah.
Okay.
And you go half a gram steps, okay, and just to see how much magnesium deficiency you have, because as long as you have a magnesium deficiency, your body's going to absorb it
Now you're increasing half a gram every day.
every night. Yeah, every night.
Okay, so 4.
I've gotten to 11 grams.
Until you shit yourself.
Yeah, what is the cutoff? When do you say, okay, that's enough?
When you shit your pants.
Like during the day as an adult?
It sounds like a really fun challenge.
I'd like to stop before then.
Yeah, you.
Well, that's part of the
Well,
challenge.
then you'll never know your limit.
You'll
Is
never
there
know
a
how
heads up
deficient you
like
are.
tomorrow you're going to shit your pants, so stop today? Like some gurgling or something?
You'll wake up the next day. You'll notice. Yeah, you'll notice like your stools are a little bit softer, and then you're like, "Holy shit, I gotta go to the bathroom."
What if my stools are always soft?
Yeah, what if you're like painting the bowl every morning?
Guilty.
Okay, so then you might want to switch to a different type of magnesium. So magnesium citrate is a little bit more absorbable than magnesium oxide. But then you can go something with like in betweener, like magnesium threonate, which is magnesium. It's a different form of magnesium. There's a product by Thorne called magnesium citramate, which is 50% citrate, 50% threonate. And magnesium threonate is more like for mental clarity, and it's more for like nervous system, more calming in that way. Magnesium citrate is a little bit less absorbable, which helps with people that have constipation. But like, yeah, threonate, or you can do so some other form of chelated magnesium that is going to be less likely to make you have runny poops.
All right.
That's going to fix my runny poops?
It's Thorne citramate. Yeah.
Thorn, hook us up. I know Huberman likes
Thorn.
you guys. And we're basically Andrew Huberman.
So Tad, to answer your question, I
Wait,
recently went to
scratch everything you're saying right now. Why did you giggle at Andrew Huberman?
Yeah.
Do we have beef? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that dude.
Okay, why?
Yeah, no,
neither
I'm too small
neither
of
am
a fish.
I. No, neither am I. I will jump on your team. But you tell me first why.
So I don't think there's so the allegations that came out, with his research and the women that came forward, accusing him.
Yeah, forget the women. I would just want
I
research.
need more context.
And I don't think that he's too pop sciencey for me.
Okay, can you give Robbie context? Because I don't think I can do it justice.
So Andrew Huberman is this neuroscientist who became like this pop neuroscientist and became really famous through his podcast.
For like 4
And
months.
people started like taking it to the next level, and he became kind of like a celebrity. And he was taking the same concepts when he started, another he started with the evolutionary theory and whatever, and then he started just going off the deep end with like microdosing of different things. And it's in a very science is really cool because we're not politicians. We can change our mind, and as a scientist, I have to, if the evidence shows that I was wrong, I have to change
course.
my mind.
That's
And
respectable.
so I always reserve
I love science for that reason.
my right to change. And there are a couple of things that I've changed my perspective on, like for example, fish oil. I used to be a big proponent of fish oil, and I'm like a little bit more cautious about it.
Oh,
What about seed
I want to
oils?
hear more on that.
This is actually really important. We have a niche collection of random internet folk who are
Yeah,
really.
but I don't care about anyone else but myself. So the fish oil is more important than other people.
Oh, you care about the fish oil, not the seed oil.
No, I don't care about other people's stuff.
So what's Dingo? Okay, so but they go hand in hand, fish oil and seed oils. So Dingo, why do you take fish oil?
Well,
He
I
hates
stopped
himself.
because
Because the TV told him to.
no, because I don't like burping up the fish, and even when you get the burpless or the lemon flavored, like it
Mhm.
still tastes like asshole, and I don't
Yeah.
like that. So I'd rather just die a couple years earlier.
Okay. So the
Dingo.
reason people take fish oil is because they're rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Okay, there's two types of fatty acids: omega-6 fatty acids and omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-6 fatty acids are going to be pro-inflammatory, and omega-6 fatty acids are going to be pro-inflammatory. Omega-3 fatty acids are going to be mostly anti-inflammatory. Okay, but they are polyunsaturated fatty acids. Polyunsaturation means that there's a lot of places where they can break off, and you can make a trans fat, which is bad, or a cis fat, which is not so bad. Okay, so the whole thing about seed oils is that there are polyunsaturated fatty acids that are mostly composed of omega-6. So you have a double whammy. They're inflammatory, and because they're polyunsaturated, when you heat them up, they have the propensity, or they could become trans fatty acids. Okay, so
I don't
people
want
are like, oh,
trans.
yeah. So
The trans are bad. Got it.
yeah, we're gonna get canceled, guys.
Cut it out in
And
post. Don't
then
worry.
yeah, so
But we won't.
We won't.
omega-3 fatty acids are anti-inflammatory. Anti-inflammatory. Okay, the problem is this. So because we eat so much processed food, okay, deep fried stuff that has seed oils being heated at really high temperatures, which has the propensity to turn into trans fats, plus you're incorporating those polyunsaturated fatty acids into your cell membranes, you are becoming more inflamed.
But I'm not heating the fish oil. I'm just eating it.
The fish oil. Okay, yeah. But this is the but. Okay,
Okay, give me the butt.
polyunsaturated fatty acids. Yeah, polyunsaturated fatty acids. Okay, when you start burping fish out of the fish, just throw it away. That's rancid, and it has decomposed, or is rancid, and there is a chance that even your sacred omega-3s are trans, and now they're going to be
If I'm
inflammatory.
burping
Okay.
after taking the omegas, they're bad.
Yep.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I only take
Okay.
bad
So
omegas.
so you can
Never
now
taken a good one.
Oh, I've never taken a good one.
pro tip: you can put them in your freezer. Okay,
Okay.
and then they're going to be a little bit more stable. Okay, but what's better than supplementing with omega-3 fatty acids? Because if you're anything like me, you're like, oh shit, I'm taking an omega-3 fatty acid pill, so I don't need to eat salmon, or I don't need to eat haddock, or I don't need to eat, seafood.
Or whatever it is at Culver's that month.
But in reality, evolutionary speaking, yeah.
The walleye.
Evolutionary.
Get the
It's the
walleye
walleye.
basket. Oh, So
evol- evolutionarily
Cheese curds.
speaking, nature gave us omega-3 fatty acids that have been protected by proteins and other fats and and fibers and stuff like that actually make it through our intestine, are actually making it through our digestive system and incorporating in the right way. So supplementing with omega-3.
So there's just no substitute for actually eating the fish and the food where that's more bioavailable. You'll
Correct.
never be able to repeat
Correct.
that in a supplement.
You can, like, so like, if you like, I don't want to be a gatekeeper of like, what if you have some sort of like allergy that you're allergic to fish and the only way that you can get it is through a supplement. Cool, but that's like a very exclusive or specific situation, and you as a bodybuilder, I bet you've opened a can of sardines and fucking killed that.
I have, but let's not call me that because I'm definitely not anymore.
But to me, that's better than supplementation. That's like more like actual food. Let food be thy medicine.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
a can of
Hippocrates.
sardines had,
I figured that he would come up
Yeah.
at some point today.
He always does.
a can of sardines has about 1,200 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids. So why don't you just eat real food?
Yeah, and the ones in the tomato sauce are delicious. So don't be afraid. Crack it open.
or the ones in mustard. Yeah,
the ones in mustard. Yeah.
They have ones in mustard. I've never even heard of this.
So I feel like this all just comes back to eat real food.
Yeah.
It does come back to eating real food.
Dude,
up your tin fish game, dude.
Okay, can we just go back?
It comes back to eat real food. It's just, that's the answer.
Okay, but yet Dr. Ruiz is talking about how he thinks Andrew Huberman's a piece of shit. So can we go back to that?
Well, I'm gonna pivot to answer
Fuck
Pat's
you,
question,
Andrew Huberman.
because just 2 weeks ago, I went to a conference because we're thinking about creating our own line of gummies. Okay.
Weed gummies.
Okay, stop. THC?
Yeah.
Now I'm listening. Okay, for the first time tonight,
yes,
you have my
yes,
attention.
Okay.
Let's talk.
Okay. So we learned, that because you can make there are so many things that you can do with gummies. Okay. So closest to the pin, how much of the actual active ingredient do you think a 2-gram gummy can carry in percentage?
5%.
45%.
7%.
It's around 8%.
Oh, I
of
was so
its
close.
weight.
Of the
Okay.
THC?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen? No,
Yeah,
of the active.
of the active ingredient?
Have you guys seen those creatine?
What is the
gummies?
active ingredient in a gummy?
Well, it depends. Like for example, in a creatine gummy, it's like, well, the active ingredient would be creatine because you're using a gummy
Oh, we're talking anything in a gummy. I thought you were talking THC.
in a gummy.
In any gummy?
No, in a
like
gummy.
any supplement gummy.
In a gummy.
Okay. Well,
Any supplement. gummy.
I was
okay. So
completely
if you look at
sidetracked.
creatine gummies, the serving size, I think it's 6.
Yeah, creatine gummies are bullshit.
And you're eating like 20 grams of sugar.
And there's only
You're
30
eating,
in
like,
a
20
fucking
grams of
bag.
sugar.
So you're paying $40 to get like a
Yeah.
week and a half works. Yeah, fuck the creatine gummies. Take the powder and just scoop it into some fucking water.
Just, dude, get a kilo of creatine monohydrate,
Yes,
Creo
thank you.
Pure, that you can get on Amazon for like $10, and then put it in your shake, and that's it.
It's dirt cheap, and it's the most researched supplement in history. I think maybe next to caffeine.
Yeah. So basically, we're kind of abandoning the idea of doing like a multivitamin in a gummy form, because in reality, no one should be taking gummies for health. Because like, I don't drink whiskey for health. I drink, as a treat. And if I'm going to have a gummy, it's not because I want to be healthy. It's because it's recreational.
Okay, so all these multivitamin gummies are kind of a waste of money, is what you're saying.
I would say, unless you are trying to, if you want some candy and then you sleep better at night because it might have a little bit of like magnesium, all of those, we should treat anything in gummy form as what they are, which is just candy.
So weed gummies, no
It
good.
dude, well, if
Waste of
depends.
money.
Well, no, it's not.
They
They're
are
not.
not. I disagree. I love them.
It's recreational. It's recreational. You're not
But
doing
am I
it for
not
the.
getting enough active ingredient out of it? Could I
Oh,
be? Like,
absolutely. So
yeah,
so
that's what I'm
with
saying.
Oh,
with anything that
Waste.
anything like terpenes are fat soluble. So anything that is fat soluble is gummies are a good way of dosing them, because so you have this, the recipe for the gummy, you have the pectin. Most gummies in the United States are pectin. You have the pectin and basically cane sugar. And that's funny because the reason gummy production uses cane sugar is because cane sugar doesn't need to be GMO, because it's a grass and it grows really easily. So basically, if you want your like label to say organic or non-GMO, you have to use white sugar, like
Racist.
diamond. Yeah. So, and name someone that thinks that pure white sugar is healthy. You know, but that's the only way that you can get that logo. Now, funny enough, if you want to get it, if you want to get the kosher certification,
Now we're
oh,
talking.
Robbie, listen up.
Yep,
okay,
that's me.
there are there are two there are two rabbis, one in Minnesota, one in Michigan,
Hmm.
that will basically tell you, yeah, it's kosher even if it has pork gelatin. Like they have the reasons. But if you want to have kosher, they have you
I
if you want
trust
to.
them.
So you can pay these guys off?
Yeah,
They have their
absolutely.
reasons. Listen, they have their reasons. Okay, I trust
Yeah,
them.
they.
Do they want somebody else, maybe in Illinois?
Their
Yeah,
reasons are financial.
Yeah, I can be. I can have reasons.
Yeah.
yeah, and
We don't have
and
scruples here at the Dingo Weekly.
Mm-mm.
so basically, all these labels are like so crazy that you can basically do whatever you want with your label. But so you have to heat up this mixture of pectin and sugar to really high, to a very high temperature. And then you have what's called the acid, flavor, and color. And then you mix that acid, flavor, color into this mix of pectin and sugar, and that's what makes it into the gelatin, into the gelatinous, or firm thing. So there's so many places where first, this mixture is super hot boiling, so not a lot of things are gonna survive that. But the actives are not mixed until after the acid, color, and flavor. And when you put in, the acid, color, and flavor, well, you're acidifying that is going to denature a lot of things. And then you have to heat it up again, so it's going to denature a lot of things. So for the most part, herbs, uh, different, functional things that you might put into a gummy might not even make it to the gummy itself. You might be taking absolutely nothing, you know, unless it's something like a terpene or something that is fat soluble,
Hmm.
which is going to be more resistant to the heat, and if you're using, instead of using extracts, if you're using more of like whole plant, like if you want to put ashwagandha, for example, into it, that might be a little bit more resistant to breaking down. But yeah, no, so gummies are recreational. No one is taking a THC gummy because they are going to be healthier, because there's better ways of administering it. Like for example, you can do a tincture, or like in the case of
You can
nicotine,
smoke a joint.
yeah. In with the
No, that
smoking,
can't possibly be better for your lungs.
correct. Yeah, in
Who
smoking
cares
is
about
a,
their lungs?
it's different. With like nicotine,
Mm.
you can put a patch, and get all the benefits of nicotine, or you can smoke a cigarette, but that's going to be bad for your lungs. So it's like the dosing can change. But when someone makes the decision to have a recreational gummy, it's not a health decision. You're just having fun, and it's a fun way of doing it.
I do like a good gummy.
Yeah.
Whether it be for THC or for your health, a good supplement.
Or Sour Patch Kid.
Or a Sour Patch Kid. I supplement at the movies.
Swedish Fish.
In the case of someone with like nausea, that a tincture might make them throw up or whatever, and like THC has been shown to be really good for nausea. Maybe the gummy is a good way of administering it because it's going to make you less nauseous with the flavors and stuff like that. So it has its case studies or its case ways of using them, but as a whole, all of those supplements that you're getting in gummy form, be a grown up and just get the actual stuff.
So that's fair.
Yeah.
Grow up, guys.
That's fair.
Grow up, smoke some weed,
and eat gummies as candy.
There's better candies
Yeah.
out there.
So this was awesome. This was informative. This was fantastic. We really appreciate you coming out. We want to have you back. We didn't touch on everything that I wanted to talk about.
We'll have you back.
There's so much more I want to
There's
talk
so much
about
more.
personally.
I really want to get into the healthcare system personally.
Oh, dude, it's
Yeah.
So in my practice, I don't do insurance. I don't take insurance. It's a cash-based practice.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I can tell you, that we could do an hour and a half on just that.
Can I
Yep.
just ask, are there other practices that do that, or is this a common thing that people maybe don't know about?
Save it.
Uh,
Save it for the next one.
It's
It's
cheaper.
a teaser.
Yeah, it's cheaper, and you actually take control of your own health, and yeah, we'll totally talk about that. It is becoming more common. But this is what I want from the audience. I want you guys, to get some questions, get whatever fucking question you have that you are maybe don't want to ask your doctor, or you have, no idea of where to ask or whatever. And because everyone is going to be behind the screen name or whatever, we can answer those questions without anyone getting embarrassed, other than me.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions that they want to send in, we will somewhere put the email where you can send in, or you can get in touch with us.
thedingodaily.com.
Robbie's creating it right now.
No, it's already created.
No,
That-
he
that
has
exists.
it.
Beautiful.
I can't think of it
God,
ever.
leave it to Robbie to always think ahead.
Yeah, we got all these custom emails. We're fancy. We're
God,
professionals.
Robbie's the fucking. I love him so much.
You guys. All right. This was awesome. Seriously. Thank you so much, Dr. Ruiz.
No
Guillermo,
problem, guys.
we're besties now.
Oh, dude, yeah,
so
First name
memes.
basis.
Mems.
Memes, yeah, guys, this has been a lot of fun. Like, seriously, we need more spaces where guys can talk freely,
Amen.
make fun of each other. We should have this freedom of having these conversations, and it's healthy, especially in this time where we feel attacked, or we're doom scrolling, or we are just getting bad news after bad news after bad news. The way that we fight this is with knowledge, with information, and
Mhm.
having a good time. And this has been amazing.
And positivity. Let's throw that in
Positivity.
there because I need that.
Maybe the monthly, the Dingo Monthly with Dr. Mems.
Hey, I'm in.
Love it.
Yes, we're menstruating with Dr. Ruiz.
Mems. Our
Menstrua-
monthly
menstruating.
menstruation.
Yes. God.
Menstruation monthly.
It writes itself.
Fantastic.
Well, awesome, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
It was awesome having you.
Thank you, Doc.
It was our pleasure. Thanks again, and thanks everyone for joining us. This was a good time. So can't wait to see you next week on the Dingo Weekly.
Bye.
Peace.
I just want everyone to know that these guys understood most of those words. This time on the Dingo Weekly, the doc was in on the Dingo Weekly. They keep it healthy on the Dingo Weekly. Turn your head and cough on the Dingo Weekly. podcast was for you. Grab your lotion and your tissues. It's proven they can help with problems. They definitely